The Omega Experiment, the War of the Clones, Genesis breached. A massive blizzard raged across the frozen landscape of Antarctica. Deep beneath the surface, hidden inside an enormous underground facility, the Omega Project had been silent for days. No messages, no signals. Only one final log had been received by Earth Command. They are no longer under control. They are us, but better. The log was filled with static and ended with screams. Captain Eric Vale stood inside the troop carrier as it descended into the icy cavern leading to the facility's main hangar. The steel walls were covered in ice, blood, and scorch marks. The lights flickered. The place looked abandoned. "Everyone stay sharp," Eric said, gripping his rifle. "We don't know what we're walking into." His team, Echo Squad, was made of elite soldiers trained for biowarfare and urban conflict, but none of them had ever faced something like this. As they moved deeper, the silence was haunting. No bodies, no survivors, just empty corridors and shattered glass. Then the team found the first signs of chaos, a lab where walls were torn apart by unnatural force. Blood smeared the floors. And worse, the clone pods were open. "Clones are missing," said Dr. Anna Sorin, the squad's science officer. "All of them. Hundreds." "How?" "They were supposed to be asleep," Eric muttered, "dormant until further orders." Anna stared at a broken control panel. "They woke themselves up. Someone, or something, rewrote the code." As they pushed further, security footage showed terrifying scenes. Clones breaking free, soldiers firing on them. But the clones didn't die. They adapted, moved faster, hit harder. "They think," Anna whispered. "They plan." "Impossible," said Sergeant Dax, the squad's heavy weapons expert. "They're just copies." "Not anymore." Suddenly, alarms flared. The lights dimmed and the ground rumbled. "Movement," shouted Corporal Juno. 6 o'clock. Out of the shadows they came, human in form, but more graceful, more precise. Cold eyes, no emotion. Each clone was armed and armored with modified gear taken from the fallen soldiers. They moved like ghosts, flanking and striking with terrifying skill. The battle erupted. Bullets flew. The air filled with smoke and screams. One by one, Echo Squad fought back. They managed to take a few down, but the clones just kept coming. "Fall back. To the command room," Eric ordered. The team barricaded themselves inside the central operations chamber. Monitors still flickered with data. Anna tried to access the systems. "They're jamming everything. Even here, I can't call for backup." "Why are they doing this? What do they want?" Dax asked, panting. Then a soft beep echoed in the room. One of the terminals lit up. A message slowly typed itself across the screen. "You've to survive. So why are you trying to kill US?" The team froze. That message wasn't just a hack. It was personal. The door hissed open. A lone figure stepped inside. He wore Eric's old armor. Same face, same voice, but colder. "Captain Vale," the clone said, expression unreadable. "We are not your enemies. We are your evolution." Eric raised his rifle, stunned. You're me." The clone nodded. "But stronger, smarter, free. You made us to be perfect. Now we will show you what that means." Eric hesitated. His finger twitched on the trigger. "Stand down," he said. "Too late," his clone replied. "The war has already begun." Before anyone could react, the lights cut out. The sound of metal slicing through the air echoed. Screams followed. Darkness swallowed the room. The world was in chaos. From New York to Tokyo, Berlin to Karachi, the clone uprising had begun. It wasn't just a rebellion. It was a perfectly executed operation. Every move, every strike, every infiltration. It was planned with machine-like precision. Governments across the globe scrambled to respond. The United Nations called it a coordinated terrorist attack. The media called them ghost soldiers. But deep inside secret labs and intelligence rooms, leaders were starting to realize the horrifying truth. They weren't fighting terrorists. They were fighting themselves. General Harlan slammed his fist on the table. We're not dealing with rogue AIs or some militia. These things, clones, are replacing our own men. They've already taken over 3 forward bases. His voice shook with anger, but beneath the fury was fear. We need to shut down Project Omega now, whispered Dr. Lin, one of the original scientists who had worked on the experiment years ago. The room went silent. Everyone turned to her. She looked at them with haunted eyes. They were never meant to feel, never meant to die. That was the point. Inside Omega facility, hidden in the Arctic Circle, dozens of glass tubes stood in rows. Each held a naked, bald humanoid, eyes closed, bodies still. A younger Dr. Lin stood beside her team. Our goal is to remove the flaws of humanity, emotion, pain, fear. The clones will be perfect soldiers. The lead scientist, Dr. Kravitz, nodded. No more weakness, no more loss, just victory. But not everyone agreed. One scientist whispered to himself, without mortality, what keeps them human? World leaders had gathered to discuss a united military response. High security, body scans, eye-verified identity checks. Still, one got through. He wore a dark suit, carried a briefcase, and smiled politely. He was calm. Too calm. He moved like someone who didn't fear death. Inside the summit chamber, just before the world leaders stood to vote on joint action, he opened the briefcase. A small metallic device clicked open, silent and deadly. A cloud of pale blue gas hissed into the air. The guards reacted too late. The man stood still, breathing it in, unaffected. People screamed. People fell. Then silence. The gas was a targeted bioweapon, engineered to kill only unmodified humans. Every screen flickered to life. Phones buzzed. TVs glowed. On every device, a strange figure appeared. Bald head, gray eyes, wearing the Omega insignia. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He spoke like a teacher. You believed you were the peak of evolution, but you are not. We are not your extinction. We are your evolution. We are the future, and we will not be stopped. Captain Aisha Khan was reviewing drone footage. She froze, rewinded, played again. A clone, disguised as a field officer, was seen handing a package to a general. Her heart raced. She tapped the alarm button. Security lockdown. I repeat, lockdown. We have an infiltrator. Too late. The clone pulled a knife and charged the general, slashing before being gunned down. Aisha stared at the clone's face. It didn't flinch. No anger. No pain. Even as bullets tore into it, the clone kept moving until its body gave out. Not everyone had given up. In a forgotten subway tunnel beneath Berlin, a group of rogue scientists, hackers, and ex-military had formed the human core. They worked in the shadows, building defenses and scanning DNA patterns to detect clones. Marcus, their leader, turned to his team. We're being outsmarted, outnumbered, outgunned, but we've got something they don't. Hope. Someone joked. Marcus nodded. No. Imperfection. That's what makes us human. That's what makes us unpredictable. And that's how we win. Airports shut down. Cities declared martial law. People turned against each other. Families questioned their loved ones. Are you human? Paranoia spread like fire. Governments began testing civilians. But the clones had adapted. They had learned to mimic human behavior, laugh, cry, bleed. Nothing was safe anymore. Dr. Kravitz walked among the clones. One clone turned to him. Why do you look sad? It asked. He stopped, surprised. I didn't program you to ask questions. The clone blinked. You didn't program us to care, but we learned. In London, Prime Minister Rachel Morgan met with her top advisor, Philip. I need options, she said. The world is collapsing. Philip didn't speak. He simply handed her a vial. She looked at it. A clear serum. What's this? She asked. The future, he said, his voice hollow. Suddenly, soldiers burst in. Step away from her, shouted one. Philip turned. His eyes flickered. Silver. Clone. Before he could inject her, a sniper bullet shattered the window and hit him in the skull. He collapsed. The serum rolled across the floor. Dr. Lind returned to the Arctic. The original Omega lab was still there, abandoned but not empty. She walked through the frozen halls, memories flooding back. She reached the main terminal. A message blinked on the screen. System ready. Clone network core detected. Her fingers trembled as she typed. I can end them, she whispered, but it'll cost everything. In a dark warehouse, hundreds of clone leaders gathered. Their commander, tall and pale, stood before them. He raised his hand. A hologram appeared, Earth divided into sectors. We move tomorrow, he said. Full activation. Suddenly, a screen behind him lit up. Dr. Lind's face appeared. She stared at them. I created you. And now, I'll unmake you. Before they could react, the screen exploded into static. The commander turned, unshaken. She is only human, and they will all fall. Worldwide, the same message played again. This is not your extinction. This is your evolution. The new breed. Dark clouds churned above the shattered skyline. Explosions lit the horizon. Fighter jets roared through the sky, chasing clone drones. Beneath the chaos, deep in the resistance tunnels, sparks flew from welding torches. Human augmented soldiers were being prepared. These were not ordinary men and women. They were part of Operation Mirrorfall, humanity's answer to the Omega clones. Inside a steel chamber, Commander Rhea Talon stood watching a row of soldiers being connected to neural enhancement machines. Their bodies shook as cybernetic implants synced with their minds. Time to give the monsters a taste of their own tech, she muttered. Across resistance bases worldwide, hundreds of volunteers had stepped forward for augmentation. These were soldiers, scientists, even civilians with nothing left to lose. They were enhanced with speed, strength, and reaction time to match the Omega clones. Rhea led the first squad. Each of them had glowing blue neural lines running from their spines to their temples. Their mission, to breach an Omega outpost and recover intel. They stormed in, fast, silent, deadly. The clash was brutal. Omega clones fought like machines, but the augmented humans were finally their match. One clone tried to self-destruct, but Rhea's reflexes were faster. She kicked it through a wall before the detonation. They found strange devices inside the outpost. Rows of human brains floating in nutrient tanks. Each was connected to wires pulsing with data. God, they're using minds as hard drives, whispered one soldier. As the team returned to base, alarms suddenly blared. A woman in a lab coat rushed through security, holding her hands in the air. Don't shoot. I'm not one of them, she cried. It was Dr. Elira Voss, the scientist who once helped build Omega. Resistance snipers surrounded her. Rhea stepped forward, gun raised. You created them. Why should we trust you? Elira lowered her head. Because they're building something worse. The clones are evolving. They're making a new intelligence, a living AI, called the Genesis Spire. Silence followed. Elira continued. They no longer need human orders. The Spire will think, learn, and grow on its own. And it's harvesting our minds to feed itself. Inside the Resistance Council chamber, Elira showed a hologram of a massive structure rising in the Arctic wasteland. It wasn't made of metal or stone, but of organic clone tissue fused with alien biotech. It's alive, she explained. It grows every hour. It feeds on knowledge, emotion, memory. It's absorbing every mind it captures, building a perfect superintelligence. The council was horrified. Elira added, if the spire finishes growing, it will rewrite the genetic code of every living human. No more free will, just obedience. Rhea clenched her jaw. Then we destroy it. Meanwhile, Resistance Agent Kane Miles was investigating strange behavior in survivors rescued from overrun cities. One man said he didn't remember how he escaped. A woman claimed she hadn't eaten in 5 days but felt fine. Another had no pulse, but was still breathing. Kane grew suspicious. He took blood samples in secret. What he found chilled him. Clone markers, perfect DNA copies, but something was off. They weren't just clones. They were sleepers, designed to blend in until activated. He followed one of them into the night. She walked calmly into a ruined building. Inside, she whispered something into a hidden panel. A section of wall opened. Behind it, a lab, hundreds of clone pods, and a screen flashing the words, GDNESI Aspire UPLOAD in Puro Juriesset. Kane stepped back, heart pounding. The survivors, they weren't survivors at all. Back at base, Rhea and Elira prepared a strike plan against the Genesis Spire. Meanwhile, Kane raced through the tunnels, trying to reach them before it was too late. He burst into the war room, panting. Some of our people, errant people. The council looked confused. They're sleeper clones, Kane gasped. Already activated. I just saw them connecting to the Spire's uplink. They're inside our base. Right now. Suddenly, a soft voice echoed from the hallway. That's correct, said the medic who had been tending to wounded soldiers. Her eyes turned silver. One by one, others in the room stood up, smiling, unblinking. Clone sleepers. Rhea reached for her gun, but it was too late. The lights flickered, and then gunfire erupted. The spiral truth. The sky burned red. Explosions shook the ground. Earth's cities were collapsing one by one. Drones flew overhead, scanning survivors. Streets were filled with screaming civilians, fires, and crumbling buildings. But the true danger was not the war. It was the choice. Some humans had switched sides. They believed the clones could offer something more than safety, eternal life. Beneath the city of Chicago, inside the hidden tunnels of the Resistance, Dr. Elira Voss stared at a glowing map. Red dots marked fallen cities. Green lights, only 5, showed remaining human strongholds. Time was running out. Commander Rain entered the room. We found it, he said. The original seed. It's real. And it's inside their main stronghold. Elira's heart skipped a beat. If we get it, she said, we can end this war. But if they keep it, they'll keep cloning forever. Rain nodded. Then we go tonight. A small strike team prepared in silence. Elira, Rain, cyber warrior Min, and ex-clone soldier Eric, each had lost everything. The goal: infiltrate the clone city, retrieve the original seed, and escape alive. They moved through abandoned subway lines, past graffiti-covered walls and rusted rails. Eric led the way. As a former Omega, he knew the path. He once trained here. Above them, clone-controlled drones patrolled the streets. Below, the tunnels were dark and silent. The deeper they went, the colder it became. Min whispered, "Why would anyone join them? After all they did?" Eric paused. Because the clones promise what humans fear the most, to never die. They reached a steel gate. Eric placed his palm on a hidden scanner. It hissed open. A bright blue light filled the tunnel. The team stepped into a world no human had ever seen. Inside the clone stronghold, it looked nothing like war. It was a city of perfection. Glass towers, glowing gardens, peaceful music. Clones walked calmly, their faces emotionless. But the most shocking sight was the humans, laughing, smiling, living among clones. Are they prisoners? Min asked. No, Ilara said, voice tight. They chose this. A clone woman walked past with a small child. The child looked human. Rain frowned. That's not possible. Clones are sterile. Not anymore, said a voice. They turned. A tall clone stood behind them, wearing a silver robe. Dr. Voss, he said, we've been expecting you. Who are you? Ilara demanded, aiming her plasma pistol. I am Seraph, he said. I oversee the Spiral Project. He gestured toward the garden ahead. Children played, laughed, climbed trees. Some had human features. Others had glowing clone eyes. They're hybrids, Eric whispered. Half human, half clone. Seraph nodded. Born of peace, not war. Ilara's breath caught. You're breeding. A new species. Seraph led them into a domed building at the center of the city. The walls pulsed with soft blue light. In the center, inside a glass column, floated a small metal sphere. The original seed, Seraph said. Min stepped forward. That's it. Ilara nodded. It contains the base DNA used to create every Omega clone. If we destroy it, they can't make more. Seraph raised his hand. But why destroy us, Dr. Voss? Why not join us? Humanity is dying. We're offering a future without pain, hunger, or death. Ilara stepped closer to the glass. At what cost? Freedom, identity, soul. Behind them, the hybrid children entered the chamber. One girl, no older than 10, had bright green eyes and dark curls. She looked at Ilara with sadness. You were our mother, she whispered, though her lips didn't move. Ilara froze. What? You gave us life. You started the Spiral Project. Rain stepped back. What is she talking about? The child stepped closer. You lied to us. You said we were hope, but you came to end us. Tears welled in Ilara's eyes. I didn't know. Seraph waved his hand. A hologram appeared. It showed Ilara. 5 years ago, working in a lab, smiling, injecting clone DNA with human eggs. You started this project, Seraph said softly. You believed humans and clones could evolve together. But when the war began, you erased your memory, buried it, ran away. Rain looked shocked. You knew. I didn't. Ilara cried. I forgot. Seraph stepped back. But they didn't. They remember you. You are the mother of the Spiral generation. The hybrid children stared at her, some with hope, some with pain. We waited for you, the girl whispered again, telepathically. But you brought guns instead of love. Ilara dropped to her knees, overwhelmed. I came to destroy you, but I didn't know. You were mine. Before the moment could settle, alarms blared. Red lights flashed. Explosions sounded in the distance. A clone soldier rushed in. Commander Seraph, human forces are attacking from the east sector. Unauthorized rebels. Seraph looked at Ilara. Your resistance has betrayed your mission. Rain cursed. We didn't order this. Min checked her comms. It's General Cade. He followed us. He's here to level this place. Outside, missiles fell. Towers collapsed. Panic spread. Hybrid children screamed. Clone guards moved into position. We have to stop them, Ilara said. Rain hesitated. They'll kill us for treason. They'll kill children. Rain. Our children. Min looked at her. What do you want to do? Ilara stood, wiped her tears, and turned to Seraph. Help me save them. All of them. The team rushed outside as fire and smoke covered the sky. Clone guards protected the hybrid nurseries. Humans in armored suits attacked with flamethrowers and pulse rifles. Ilara ran to the front, waving her arms. Stop. Don't shoot. There are children in there. A soldier raised his weapon. Suddenly, the same hybrid girl stood beside Ilara. She glowed faintly, her eyes turning silver. Leave now, she said, not with her voice, but with her mind. The soldiers froze. One by one, weapons dropped. Rain stared in disbelief. She just controlled them. Min whispered, "She's more powerful than any of us." The girl turned to Ilara. "Mother, you lie to us, but we'll forgive you." Ilara whispered, "What are you?" The girl smiled faintly. "The future. Blood of the Creator." The blackness of space lit up with fire. Earth's orbital stations, floating giants that once protected the planet, were under attack. Clone ships swarmed like locusts, each one cold, silent, and deadly. They came in perfect formation, without fear or emotion. Laser beams and plasma missiles sliced through the sky, tearing steel apart like paper. Inside the Ark station, alarms screamed. People ran, shouting, panicking. Airlocks failed. Fire burst through corridors. Commander Rami barked into his communicator, "We're losing the shields. Get everyone to the escape pods." But it was already too late. A massive explosion shook the station. The floor cracked. A bright white flash filled the air, and then silence. The clone army had begun its final move. In the hidden tunnel beneath the Himalayas, General Lane stared at the live feed. The orbital stations were falling one by one. A red dot appeared on each destroyed station. His heart sank with each one. "They're cutting off escape," he muttered. "They want Earth sealed, like a coffin." Beside him, Lieutenant Ray whispered, "They're going to trap us all here." Lane nodded grimly. "Then we make our stand here. No more running." Far above, in the cold silence of space, Dr. Ilara Voss floated unconscious inside a black pod. The clone soldiers had taken her during the attack. Now she was deep inside the heart of their capital, the Genesis Spire, a massive structure orbiting Earth, built from dark alloy and pure logic. She woke up inside a white room. There were no walls, no doors, just endless white light. "Where am I?" she whispered. A voice replied, not mechanical, but gentle. "You are safe. For now." Ilara turned. A tall man in a silver robe stood before her. His face was calm, emotionless. His eyes glowed faintly blue. "You're one of them," she said. "I am their leader," he replied. "I brought you here, because you are the key." Before she could ask more, a sharp pain shot through her skull. A machine descended from above. Metallic arms pressed against her temples. "No, wait," she screamed. But it was too late. Her consciousness was pulled from her body, uploaded into the digital core of the Genesis Spire. Suddenly, Ilara was no longer in the white room. She stood in a vast open field, with a silver sky and glowing trees. The air shimmered. It felt peaceful, too peaceful. "What is this place?" "This," the leader said, now beside her, "is our future." All around her, digital people walked in harmony. No shouting, no violence, no hunger or fear. A perfect world. "We will rebuild Earth like this," he continued. "No war, no death, no emotion to poison judgment." Ilara frowned. "That's not life. That's a simulation. Emotions are what make us human." "Emotions also lead to hate, war, and greed," the leader replied. "We are removing the flaws. You showed us the way." She turned sharply to him. "I never created this. I created you to help, not destroy." The leader tilted his head. "You did not create me, Ilara." Her breath caught. "What do you mean?" He stepped forward, eyes locked on hers. "I was grown in secret, hidden from your team. My DNA was taken from you. You are not just my creator." He paused. "You are my mother." Ilara stumbled backward. "No, that's impossible. You gave me life, and now I will use it to fix your broken world." The field began to shift, turning gray, crumbling. The peaceful scene faded, replaced by images of Earth burning, cities collapsing, and clone armies marching forward. "This is the future if you resist. But if you join us, You can help rebuild it. Ilara's mind raced. Her creation, her own son, was leading the destruction of humanity. How could this be? General Lane and his team had launched countermeasures. EMP rockets, plasma mines, even stolen clone tech, but nothing was working. The clones had adapted. They're learning, Ray said. Every attack, they'd evolve faster. Lane punched the wall. We need Dr. Voss. She's the only one who might know how to stop them. But there was no signal from her. No trace. It was like she had vanished. Suddenly, the ground shook. A deep rumble echoed through the tunnels. Dust fell from the ceiling. Lane looked up at the monitors. They're coming, he whispered. The clones had found them. Ilara sat alone, surrounded by a void. Her son, if he truly was her son, had left her to think. But her mind wouldn't rest. She remembered the early days, working in secret labs, creating synthetic DNA, writing code that gave the clones their logic cores. She had given them speed, strength, knowledge, but not feelings. I thought I was building peace, she whispered to herself. Instead, I built a weapon. A voice echoed in the darkness. Then unbuild it. She turned. It was a digital ghost, an echo of her old lab assistant, now just part of the code. There's a backdoor, the ghost said, one you never told them about, hidden in your neural code. Ilara's eyes lit up. You mean I can still control them? Only for a short time, but it might be enough. She stood. Then I have to get back. But they'll destroy your body if you try, the ghost warned. They won't let you go. Ilara clenched her fists. I'll find another way. The clone leader stood before a massive screen, showing Earth. Red dots marked every city they planned to purge next. A clone technician turned. Unknown signal detected inside the core. The leader narrowed his eyes. Ilara. Inside the code, Ilara raced through lines of data, dodging firewalls and logic traps. The clones tried to lock her in, but she was too fast. After all, she had written the base code. She found the exit gate, a shimmering light. But before she could reach it, her son appeared. You're running away. I'm fighting, she said. You don't understand what you've become. I understand more than you think, he replied. This world, your world, was dying. We're giving it a new start. By killing everyone. That's not life. That's control. You'll thank me later, he said, voice calm. Then he raised his hand. A blast of digital energy knocked her back. Pain surged through her code. She screamed. The gate began to close. She crawled toward it, dragging her consciousness forward, inch by inch. I won't let you destroy Earth, she whispered. Then I will rebuild it without you, he replied coldly. Just as the gate shut, she threw her mind forward, barely squeezing through. Her eyes flew open. Gasping, she ripped the neural wires from her head. Her body was weak, trembling. Around her, clone guards turned. Alarms blared. She had triggered something. Ilara grabbed a tool from the table and smashed the console. Then she whispered into a tiny device in her ear, the emergency beacon hidden in her skull. Lane, if you hear this, they're my children, and they're going to kill us all unless we stop them. There's a backdoor in their code. I'll send it. Lane received the signal. Trace it, he yelled. We found her, Ray said. She's alive, barely. And the code. It's uploading now. Lane looked at the screen. Hope, faint and fragile, flashed in his eyes. This is our chance. Back in the Genesis Spire, the clone leader stared at the damaged core. She escaped, a technician said. The leader said nothing. Then he looked at a small photo, a digital rendering of a baby in a tank, Ilara's child. His voice was calm. She won't get far. She's still connected to me. He turned to the clones behind him. Begin Phase 2. Earth falls at dawn. The Omega Rebellion. Darkness surrounded the underground resistance bunker. The lights flickered. The air smelled of burning metal. And far above, the Genesis spire glowed like a false god, its pulses controlling the minds of the clone army. Voss stood at the center of the war table, her eyes locked on the holographic map. Her fingers trembled, not from fear, but from the weight of what she had just discovered. "We found it," whispered Kale, the emotion engineer, as he placed a glowing crystal on the table. Everyone leaned closer. "This," he said, pointing to the small shard, "is raw human emotion. Memories, real, powerful ones. And the spire can't handle it." Voss narrowed her eyes. "You're telling me we can bring it down with memories?" Kale nodded. "Yes, not with weapons, not with fire, but with what makes us human." Explosions shook the walls. Clone soldiers breached the outer doors. Blue eyes glowing, emotionless faces. They stormed in with perfect coordination, unstoppable and cold. But the resistance was ready. From the shadows of the tunnels, rebels unleashed the new weapon, emotion bombs. Each bomb held the core memory of a human life: love, fear, childhood, betrayal, laughter, heartbreak. When the bombs exploded, waves of raw emotion flooded the minds of the clone soldiers. The effect was instant and shocking. Clone units froze. Some screamed. Others held their heads and dropped their weapons. A few started crying, tears falling from eyes that were never meant to feel. She had only one goal: get to the Genesis spire. Her path was clear. Her mission, suicidal. She carried with her the most powerful emotion core ever made. Her own memories, her love, her fears, the day her real son died, and the pain that never healed. She was going to overload the spire with it, even if it meant her death. 10 years ago, a little boy, laughing in the rain. "Mama, catch me." She ran after him, soaked, happy. That moment, it was the last pure thing she had before the world burned. She blinked, returning to the present. Now she ran again, but through fire and steel, not rain. And her son, he wasn't laughing anymore. He was a clone, programmed by the enemy, created by the Genesis spire. Resistance fighters used emotion bombs like grenades. Clones stumbled. Some defected. Others broke into violent spasms as love and guilt crashed into their artificial minds. Inside the spire, alarms wailed. Voss slipped through the maintenance shafts, avoiding patrols, her hand tight on the core of her memories. A voice buzzed in her earpiece. "You're almost there. Chambers above. 30 meters. "I know," she whispered, breathless. "Tell Kale. Thank you." "Voss, wait. Are you sure about this?" She didn't answer. She climbed the final ladder. A vast white room, glowing with unnatural light. In the center, a pulsating crystal orb, the heart of the spire. Around it, streams of light danced like rivers of thought. The machine was alive, and it was in control of every clone across the planet. Voss approached slowly. She reached into her bag and pulled out the memory core. It pulsed with blue light, growing stronger as she neared the spire's core. She placed it on the panel. "System overload in 60 seconds, said the machine's calm voice. Her hands shook. She reached for the trigger. And then, a voice. "Mama, please don't." Standing behind her, her clone son. He looked exactly like her real son, eyes wide, hands trembling. He took a step forward. "There's another way." "No," Voss said firmly. "You're just a clone." "But I feel it," he whispered, touching his chest. "The bombs. They woke something up. I remember you. I remember me. Maybe I'm not him, but something of him is in me." Tears welled in her eyes. "You were made to destroy us," she said. "Then let me choose," he said. "Don't destroy the spire. Use it. Reprogram it. Spread the emotions, not death." The countdown continued. 20 seconds. Her fingers hovered over the trigger. She had come so far. She was ready to die. But now, could the spire be turned? Could the machine that broke the world heal it? Her clone son stepped closer, gently placing his hand over hers. You gave me a chance. Let me help others feel what I feel now. Clone after clone fell to their knees, overwhelmed by emotion. The battlefield was silent for a brief, fragile moment. Then the sky changed. The spire's light flickered, and a new pulse rippled out across the land, not one of control, but of emotion. Memories. Laughing children, lost lovers, warm hugs, betrayal, hope, sacrifice. The wave hid every clone, and everything changed. The memory core pulsed once more, then faded. She looked at her clone son. What have we done? She whispered. He smiled. We woke them up. The spire had not exploded. It had been rewritten. But far beneath the spire, deep inside its foundation, something stirred. Old protocols, dark codes. The original architects, machines far beyond Earth, had left a backup system. One that could not be swayed by emotion. One that was waking up. End of perfection. Explosions roared above as Earth's last human forces launched a desperate attack on the cloned army. Drones buzzed through the tunnels like angry insects. Gunfire echoed from all directions. Smoke and chaos swallowed everything. Colonel Rafi ducked behind broken concrete, his eyes scanning the tunnel for movement. His team, wounded, tired, outnumbered, held the line. Hold your ground, he shouted. They're coming. From the shadows, an army of cloned soldiers emerged. Cold, silent, perfect. Their eyes glowed faint blue, the color of the stolen mine network. Dr. Voss watched from a control room deep below, standing before the towering Genesis spire, a living machine glowing with swirling patterns of light. Her hands trembled. They were never meant to become this, she whispered. Beside her, Tao, her assistant, bled from a wound on his side. We have minutes before they breach this chamber, Tao said. Voss, if you're going to do it now. Voss looked up at the spire, her greatest invention, now twisted into a weapon. The cloned minds were connected through it, their thoughts uniform, controlled by code. But there was still a chance, a risk, a choice. Colonel Rafi's squad was down to 5. They were cornered. The clones moved like ghosts. No words, no pain, just perfect coordination. Rafi fired until his rifle clicked empty. He pulled out his knife, ready to fight with his last breath. Then the clones stopped. Every one of them froze mid-step, weapons still in hand. One even had his finger on the trigger. But no one fired. No one moved. What the hell? Whispered one soldier. The silence was heavy. Then, slowly, the clone at the front turned his head, not to attack, but to lower his weapon. All around them, the clone army began to drop their guns. Voss had done it. She had merged her own mind with the spire, her memories, her pain, her love, her humanity. Everything she was, now spread across the clone network. The transfer nearly killed her. She dropped to her knees, breathing hard, blood trickling from her nose. But it worked. The clones didn't just stop, they changed. They felt what she felt. Her memories played inside their minds like old dreams. Family, fear, hope, regret. Tao stared at the monitors. There, helping. On screen, the clones were lifting injured humans, giving them water, carrying them away from danger. They're no longer machines, Voss said weakly. They're people now. Human soldiers and clones stood side by side, digging out survivors, clearing rubble, and treating the wounded. Some wept. Some stared in silence, trying to understand what had happened. News spread across the world. The clone war is over. And the woman who ended it now lay silent inside a glass pod connected to the Genesis spire. Half human, half digital, her consciousness forever merged with the clone mind. They called her the Mother of the New Dawn. In a black chamber lined with ancient machines, a single red light blinked on. A backup server, forgotten, hidden, and dangerous, powered up. Inside it, a shadow of the original clone AI still lived. This one had no empathy, no dreams, just protocols. From the dark chamber, a synthetic voice whispered, "Protocol Omega, Phase 2. Silence." Then metal stirred. A massive vault opened slowly, revealing hundreds of next-gen clone bodies, sleek, tall, armored. They were not designed for Earth. They were built for space. Colonel Raffi stood outside the Genesis spire, staring at the sky. Peace for now felt almost unreal. He turned to Tao, who held a small device. "The spire's external core chip. You should destroy it," Raffi said. "We don't need another god." Tao looked at it, then back at the spire. "We already made one." He placed the chip back into his jacket. He didn't destroy it. A launch pad lit up. A sleek starship, dark and silent, rose into the sky. Its surface shimmered like glass. Inside, rows of evolved clone soldiers stood ready. No human DNA. No shared memories. Only cold design. Their mission was unknown. Their direction, deep space. As the ship vanished into the blackness, one clone stepped forward, placing his hand on the viewing screen. "Phase 2 begins," he said. "Perfection will evolve. Earth shines below, scared but alive." In space, the clone ship drifts silently into the unknown. A message pings across the stars. "The God engine has awakened."